hello to my little friend!
Is Netflix destroying Avatar? This video will not only explain the two biggest problems with season 2 of Netflix's Avatar, but also how these issues massively damage the reputation of the show. Conversely, this video will also explore the one area Netflix actually did better than the original series. I'm Yingkoos, your ATLA superfan. Let's begin. Spoilers, obviously. Now, most people think that the biggest problem with season 2 of Netflix's Avatar is the casting. That of May, Azula, the fact that Aang looks like a grown man, but this issue pales in comparison to the real sore points of the season, and they will shock you. Just how much content they either changed / cut from the original plot. But this is not me complaining that the live action series isn't an exact copy to the original. Of course, there are budget constraints and creative differences, so expecting a one-to-one replica would be silly. But what I am complaining about is that there are serious implications not being considered when they make a cut or a change to a specific event or location. And the first example being is the complete removal of the desert setting in Avatar. Now you may be thinking, he's gonna hate on how Netflix did Wang Shi-tong's library. And though the library is a center point for the desert episodes, actually you'd be wrong. I really enjoyed how Netflix handled this episode. I thought the CGI effects were great, and even the inclusion of Jet made sense and rounded off his arc nicely. But what I did have an issue with is what happened immediately after. Because by removing the desert location and moving Wang Shi-tong's library to Ba Sing Se, we missed potentially the most character-defining moment for Aang and Team Avatar: the kidnapping of Appa. See, the kidnapping of Appa still happens in the live-action series, but it completely loses its meaning. When Appa is kidnapped in the original show, this is the most traumatic event that Aang has actually experienced. He speaks about this on the same level as the genocide of his entire people.
You're feeling unbelievable pain and rage. How do you think I felt about the Sandbenders when they stole Appa? How do you think I felt about the Fire Nation when I found out what happened to my people?
Aang is so angry about it that Aang, a devout pacifist, is ready to kill because of it. But what really makes it hit home is that it's a prolonged separation. We go episode after episode where the loss of Appa looms over Aang. But not just Aang, the entire group feels it too, directly, because now they have to trudge through a desert with no food and no water, leading to intense fights between friends, but also makes the story that much more interesting because now they can't just fly away from every problem they now encounter. But all this pain and struggle pays off with one of the greatest reunions ever.
I missed you, buddy.
But this payoff doesn't just work because it's delayed. It works because the episodes missing Appa always acknowledged his loss. It works because the story used the opportunity in Appa's loss to put its other characters in more intriguing scenarios. It works because through this experience, we learned just how much Appa and Aang love each other. But all this falls apart when you contrast Appa's original kidnapping to the live action version. Because what's supposed to be an intensely painful experience for Aang that spurs him to become a more mature avatar that can rely on his team turned into this irrelevant plot about friends keeping secrets. Katara is now the painted lady in Ba Sing Se of all places. Toph's now being blackmailed because her parents now work with the Fire Nation, and Sokka's now friends with terrorists apparently. To the point that aside from Aang, no one else in Team Avatar really cares that Appa has gone missing, because they're all focused on their own subplots. Listen to what I just said. Because the desert setting is removed in the live action, the kidnapping of Appa, which is one of the most important events in Avatar, gets sidelined for glorified K-drama plotlines. And the only time it's ever really mentioned is through Aang when he goes on these weird temper tantrums blame his friends for all his problems. By removing the desert setting, you destroy a powerful character arc and all its associated events. Heck, the funniest moment in the original series, Sokka getting high off cactus juice in the desert, gets replaced by this weird party drink mix-up in the live action. But this isn't even the worst change in Netflix's Avatar. Reminder, please like and sub. Thank you. That has to go with Katara now being the painted lady in season 2 Ba Sing Se instead of a Fire Nation village in season 3. And this modification will disgust you when you realize just how destructive it actually is. Now you may be thinking, I only hate this change because it strengthens the Zutara ship that they're obviously going with in this season. You know, Zuko and Katara bonding over the fact that they're both pretending to be spirits so they can help people. But you would only be slightly correct. Fuck Zutara. But honestly, I despise this difference because it undermines and misunderstands a core aspect of Katara's character. Katara is not this mindless goody-goody. There is no way in a city teeming with Dali agents would Katara play dress up as the painted lady to randomly help people and potentially sabotage the main reason for why she is there. Yes, Katara likes to help people, but more importantly, Katara wants to help people help themselves. She wants people to have the power and conviction to protect and defend themselves properly. We see it when she motivated the Earthbenders to escape the prison. We see it when she pushed for women to learn waterbending in the Northern Water Tribe. And we see it when she takes on the painted lady persona. A Fire Nation factory polluted a nearby village's river, so much so that it's damn near poisonous to its residents. So Katara uses the myth of the painted lady as cover so she can destroy the factory and help clean up the river, two issues that the residents of the village couldn't solve themselves. But then she also uses the myth of the painted lady to inspire the villagers to keep the village clean and free, something that they could do themselves. This is who Katara is. Katara is a liberator. Katara is a freedom fighter, someone who sees the chains of oppression and desires to break them. But the Netflix show destroys all that personality, leaving us with a do-nothing goody-goody and a Zutara ship. Even worse, it skips over one of my favorite scenes in all of Avatar. The moment when the real painted lady spirit appears before Katara to say thank you. Listen, I could write a full video essay on this scene alone, but it's just the fact that in a world of Avatar where so much wonder and magic is everywhere, seeing that the Netflix show stripped it down to its barest minimum will forever break my heart. However, I'm not going to pretend everything was bad. In fact, I really enjoyed watching the show, a solid 7.5 out of 10. Especially the one area they actually improved upon in contrast to the original series. And this was a long time coming, dealing with the ramifications of Uncle Iroh's actions. Now most people know Uncle Iroh as the happy-go-lucky sage who helps young people in need with sound advice and good tea. But they often completely forget he was a war criminal. Not just any war criminal, the war criminal. He was literally the next in line to the Fire Nation throne and led the siege of Ba Sing Se. And this has always been a point of contention with ATLA fans because they couldn't wrap their head around the fact that their favorite character is actually partly responsible for a lot of death and destruction in the series. But the Netflix show makes it painfully obvious that Iroh was not a good man and actually did a lot of pretty evil shit. It forces him to take accountability for his actions. Even at one point, Iroh has to forgive the man who ordered his own son to his death because that man was only following Iroh's order. And through this, Iroh's redemption arc starts proper. This is some pretty heavy shit and I have to give Netflix props for doing it like this. Anyway guys, that's all I have to say. I've been Yingkoos. Please like and subscribe. Love y'all. Bye.